Welcome to Read with Steve, a podcast where I read you a book from the public domain. This is episode 16, and we're continuing with part 3 of Anthem by Ayn Rand. I'm Steve, and it's time to read. Part 3. We, Equality 72521, have discovered a new power of nature, and we have discovered it alone, and we alone are known to it. It is said, "Now let us be lashed for it if we must." The Council of Scholars has said that we will all know the things which exist, and therefore the things which are not known by all do not exist. But we think that the Council of Scholars is blind. The secrets of this earth are not for all men to see, but only for those who will seek them. We know, for we have found a secret unknown to all our brothers. We know not what this power is nor whence it comes, but we know its nature. We have watched it and worked with it. We saw it first 2 years ago. One night we were cutting open the body of a dead frog when we saw its leg jerking. It was dead, yet it moved. Some power unknown to men was making it move. We could not understand it. Then, after many tests, we found the answer. The frog had been hanging on a wire of copper, and it had been the metal of our knife which had sent the strange power to the copper through the brine of the frog's body. We put a piece of copper and a piece of zinc into a jar of brine. We touched a wire to them, and there, under our fingers, was a miracle which had never occurred before. A new miracle and a new power. This discovery haunted us. We followed it in preference to all our studies. We worked with it, we tested it in more ways than we can describe, and each step was another miracle, unveiling before us. We came to know that we had found the greatest power on earth, for it defies all the laws known to men. It makes the needle move and turn on the compass which we stole from the home of the scholars. But we had been taught, when still a child, that the lodestone points to the north, and that this is a law which nothing can change. Yet our new power defies all laws. We found that it causes lightning, and never have men known what causes lightning. In thunderstorms, we raised a tall rod of iron by the side of our hole, and we watched it from below. We have seen the lightning strike it again and again, and now we know that metal draws the power out of the sky, and that metal can be made to give it forth. We have built strange things with this discovery of ours. We used it for the copper wires which we found here under the ground. We have walked the length of our tunnel, with a candle lighting the way. We could go no farther than half a mile, for earth and rock had fallen at both ends. But we gathered all the things we found, and we brought them to our workplace. We found strange boxes with bars of metal inside, with many cords and strands and coils of metal. We found wires that led to strange little globes of glass in the walls. They contained threads of metal thinner than a spider's web. These things help us in our work. We do not understand them, but we think that the men of the unmentionable times had known our power of the sky, and these things had some relation to it. We do not know, but we shall learn. We cannot stop now, even though it frightens us that we are all alone in our knowledge. No single one can possess greater wisdom than the many scholars who are elected by all men for their wisdom. Yet we can. We do. We have fought against saying it, but now it is said. We do not care. We forget all men, all laws, and all things save our metals and our wires. So much is still to be learned. So long a road lies before us, and what care if we must travel it alone? Part 4. Many days passed before we could speak to the Golden One again, but then came the day when the sky turned white, as if the sun had burst and spread its flame in the air, and the fields lay still without breath, and the dust of the road was white in the glow. So the women of the field were weary, and they tarried over their work, and they were far from the road when we came. But the Golden One stood alone at the hedge, waiting. We stopped, and we saw that their eyes, so hard and scornful to the world, were looking to us as if they would obey any word we might speak. And we said, We have given you a name in our thoughts, Liberty 5-3000. What is our name? They asked. The Golden One. Nor do we call you Equality 7-25-21 when we think of you. What name have you given us? They looked straight into our eyes and they held their head high, and they answered, The Unconquered. For a long time we could not speak, then we said, Such thoughts as these are forbidden, Golden One. But you think such thoughts as these, and you wish us to think them. We looked into their eyes and we could not lie. Yes, we whispered, and they smiled, and then we said, Our dearest one, do not obey us. They stepped back and their eyes were wide and still. Speak these words again, they whispered. Which words? We asked, but they did not answer and we knew it. Our dearest one, we whispered. Never have men said this to women. The head of the Golden One bowed slowly and they stood still before us, their arms at their sides, the palms of their hands turned to us, as if their body were delivered in submission to our eyes, and we could not speak. And then they raised their head, and they spoke simply and gently, as if they wished us to forget some anxiety of their own. The day is hot, they said. You have worked for many hours, and you must be weary. No, we answered. It is cooler in the fields, they said, and there is water to drink. Are you thirsty? Yes, we answered, but we cannot cross the hedge. We shall bring the water to you, they said. Then they knelt by the moat. They gathered water in their 2 hands, they rose, and they held the water out to our lips. We do not know if we drank that water. We only knew suddenly that their hands were empty, but we were still holding our lips to their hands, and that they knew it, but did not move. We raised our head and stepped back, for we did not understand what had made us do this, and we were afraid to understand it. And the Golden One stepped back and stood looking upon their hands in wonder. Then the Golden One moved away, even though no others were coming, and they moved, stepping back as if they could not turn from us, their arms bent before them, as if they could not lower their hands. Part 5. We made it. We created it. We brought it forth from the night of the ages. We alone, our hands, our mind, ours alone and only. We know not what we are saying. Our head is reeling. We look upon the light which we have made. We shall be forgiven for anything we say tonight. Tonight, after more days and trials than we can count, we finished building a strange thing. From the remains of the unmentionable times, a box of glass, devised to give forth the power of the sky of greater strength than we had ever achieved before. And when we put our wires to this box, when we closed the current, the wire glowed. It came to life. It turned red, and a circle of light lay on the stone before us. We stood and we held our head in our hands. We could not conceive of that which we had created. We had touched no flint, made no fire, yet here was light, light that came from nowhere, light from the heart of metal. We blew out the candle. Darkness swallowed us. There was nothing left around us, nothing save night and the thin thread of flame in it, as a crack in the wall of a prison. We stretched our hands to the wire, and we saw our fingers in the red glow. We could not see our body nor feel it, and in that moment nothing existed save our 2 hands over a wire glowing in a black abyss. Then we thought of the meaning, that which lay before us. We can light our tunnel and the city, and all the cities of the world with nothing save metal and wires. We can give our brothers a new light, cleaner and brighter than any they have ever known. The power of the sky can be made to do men's bidding. There are no limits to its secrets and its might, and it can be made to grant us anything if we but choose to ask. Then we knew what we must do. Our discovery is too great for us to waste our time in sweeping the streets. We must not keep our secret to ourselves, nor bury it under the ground. We must bring it into the sight of all men. We need all our time. We need the workrooms of the home of the scholars. We want the help of our brother scholars and their wisdom joined to ours. There's so much work ahead for all of us, for all the scholars of the world. In a month, the World Council of Scholars is to meet in our city. It is a great council, to which the wisest of all lands are elected. and it meets once a year in the different cities of the earth. We shall go to this council, and we shall lay before them, as our gift, this glass box with the power of the sky. We shall confess everything to them. They will see, understand, and forgive, for our gift is greater than our transgression. They will explain it to the council of vocations, and we shall be assigned to the home of the scholars. This has never been done before, but neither has a gift such as ours ever been offered to men. We must wait. We must guard our tunnel as we had never guarded it before. For should any men save the scholars learn of our secret, they would not understand it, nor would they believe us. They would see nothing save our crime of working alone, and they would destroy us and our light. We care not about our body, but our light is. Yes, we do care. For the first time, we do care about our body. For this wire is as a part of our body, as a vein torn from us, glowing with our blood. Are we proud of this thread of metal, or of our hands which made it? Or is there a line to divide these two? We stretch out our arms. For the first time do we know how strong our arms are. And a strange thought comes to us. We wonder, for the first time in our life, what we look like. Men never see their own faces, and never ask their brothers about it. For it is evil to have concern for their own faces or bodies. But tonight, for a reason we cannot fathom, we wish it were possible for us to know the likeness of our own person. Part 6. We have not written for 30 days. For 30 days we have not been here in our tunnel. We had been caught. It happened on that night when we wrote last. We forgot that night to watch the sand in the glass, which tells us when 3 hours have passed and it is time to return to the city theater. When we remembered it, the sand had run out. We hastened to the theater, but the big tent stood gray and silent against the sky. The streets of the city lay before us, dark and empty. If we went back to hide in our tunnel, we would be found and our light found with us. So we walked to the home of the street sweepers. When the council of the home questioned us, we looked upon the faces of the council, but there was no curiosity in those faces, and no anger, and no mercy. So when the oldest of them asked us, "Where have you been?" we thought of our glass box and of our light, and we forgot all else, and we answered, "We will not tell you." The oldest did not question us further. They turned to the two youngest and said, and their voice was bored, "Take our brother Equality 72521 to the Palace of Corrective Detention. Lash them until they tell." So we were taken to the stone room under the Palace of Corrective Detention. This room has no windows, and it is empty save for an iron post. 2 men stood by the post, naked but for leather aprons and leather hoods over their faces. Those who had brought us departed, leaving us to the 2 judges who stood in a corner of the room. The judges were small, thin men, gray and bent. They gave the signal to the 2 strong hooded ones. They tore the clothes from our body. They threw us down upon our knees, and they tied our hands to the iron post. The first blow of the lash felt as if our spine had been cut in 2. The second blow stopped the first, and for a second we felt nothing. Then the pain struck us in our throat and fire ran in our lungs without air, but we did not cry out. The lash whistled like a singing wind. We tried to count the blows, but we lost count. We knew that the blows were falling upon our back, only we felt nothing upon our back any longer. A flaming grill kept dancing before our eyes, and we thought of nothing save that grill. A grill of red squares. And then we knew that we were looking at the squares of the iron grill in the door. And there were also the squares of stone on the walls, and the squares which the lash was cutting upon our back, crossing and recrossing itself in our flesh. Then we saw a fist before us. It knocked our chin up, and we saw the red froth of our mouth on the withered fingers, and the judge asked, "Where have you been?" But we jerked our heads away, hid our face upon our tied hands, and bit our lips. The lash whistled again. We wondered who was sprinkling burning coal dust upon the floor, for we saw drops of red twinkling on the stones around us. Then we knew nothing, save 2 voices snarling steadily, one after the other, even though we knew they were speaking many minutes apart. Where have you been? 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 And our lips moved, but the sound trickled back in our throat, and the sound was only the light, the light, the light. Then we knew nothing. We opened our eyes, lying on our stomach on the brick floor of a cell. We looked upon two hands, laying far before us on the bricks, and we moved them, and we knew that they were our hands, but we could not move our body. Then we smiled, for we thought of the light, and that we had not betrayed it. We lay in our cell for many days. The door opened twice each day, once for the men who brought us bread and water, and once for the judges. Many judges came to our cell, first the humblest, and then the most honored judges of the city. They stood before us in their white togas, and they asked, "Are you ready to speak?" But we shook our head, lying before them on the floor, and they departed. We counted each day and each night as it passed. Then, tonight, we knew that we must escape. For tomorrow the World Council of Scholars is to meet in our city. It was easy to escape from the Palace of Corrective Detention. The locks are old on the doors, and there are no guards about. There is no reason to have guards, for men have never defied the councils so far as to escape from whatever place they were ordered to be. Our body is healthy, and strength returns to it speedily. We lunged against the door, and it gave way. We stole through the dark passages, and through the dark streets, and down into our tunnel. We lit the candle, and we saw that our place had not been found, and nothing had been touched. And our glass box stood before us in the cold oven, as we had left it. What matter they now, the scars upon our back? Tomorrow, in the full light of day, we shall take our box and leave our tunnel open, and walk through the streets to the home of the scholars. We shall put before them the greatest gift ever offered to men. We shall tell them the truth. We shall hand it to them as our confession. These pages we have written. We shall join our hands to theirs, and we shall work together with the power of the sky, for the glory of mankind. Our blessing upon you, our brothers. Tomorrow you will take us back into your fold, and we shall be an outcast no longer. Tomorrow we shall be one of you again. Tomorrow. Part 7. It is dark here in the forest. The leaves rustle over our head, black against the last gold of the sky. The moss is soft and warm. We shall sleep on this moss for many nights, till the beasts of the forest come to tear our body. We have no bed now save the moss, and no future save the beasts. We are old now, yet we were young this morning, when we carried our glass box through the streets of the city to the home of the scholars. No men stopped us, for there were none about from the Palace of Corrective Detention, and the others knew nothing. No men stopped us at the gate. We walked through empty passages and into the great hall where the World Council of Scholars sat in solemn meeting. We saw nothing as we entered, save the sky and the great windows, blue and glowing. Then we saw the scholars who sat around a long table. They were as shapeless clouds, huddled at the rise of the great sky. There were men whose famous names we knew, and others from distant lands whose names we had not heard. We saw a great painting on the wall over their heads, of the 20 illustrious men who had invented the candle. All the heads of the council turned to us as we entered. These great and wise of the earth did not know what to think of us, and they looked upon us with wonder and curiosity, as if we were a miracle. It is true that our tunic was torn and stained with brown stains which had been blood. We raised our right arm and we said, "Our greeting to you, our honored brothers of the World Council of Scholars." Then collective 00009, the oldest and wisest of the council, spoke and asked, "Who are you, our brother? For you do not look like a scholar." "Our name is Equality 72521, we answered, "and we are a street sweeper of this city." Then it was as if a great wind had stricken the hall, for all the scholars spoke at once, and they were angry and frightened. A street sweeper? A street sweeper walking in upon the World Council of Scholars. It is not to be believed. It is against all the rules and all the laws. But we knew how to stop them. Our brothers, we said, we matter not, nor our transgression. It is only our brother men who matter. Give no thought to us, for we are nothing, but listen to our words, for we bring you a gift such as never been brought to men. Listen to us, for we hold the future of mankind in our hands. Then they listened. We placed our glass box upon the table before them. We spoke of it, and of our long quest, and of our tunnel, and of our escape from the palace of corrective detention. Not a hand moved in that hall as we spoke, nor an eye. Then we put the wires to the box, and they all bent forward and sat still, watching. And we stood still, our eyes upon the wire, and slowly, slowly as a flush of blood, a red flame trembled in the wire. Then the wire glowed. But terror struck the men of the council. They leapt to their feet, they ran from the table, and they stood pressed against the wall, huddled together, seeking the warmth of one another's bodies to give them courage. We looked upon them, and we laughed and said, "Fear nothing, our brothers. This is a great power in these wires, but this power is tamed. It is yours, we give it to you." Still they would not move. "We give you the power of the sky," we cried. "We give you the key to the earth. Take it and let us be one of you, the humblest among you. Let us all work together and harness this power, and make it ease the toil of men. Let us throw away our candles and our torches. Let us flood our cities with light. Let us bring a new light to men." But they looked upon us, and suddenly we were afraid, for their eyes were still and small and evil. "Our brothers," we cried, "have you nothing to say to us?" Then Collective 00009 moved forward. They moved to the table and the others followed. "Yes," spoke Collective 00009. "We have much to say to you." The sound of their voices brought silence to the hall and to the beat of our heart. "Yes," said Collective 00009. "We have much to say to a wretch who have broken all the laws and who boast of their infamy. How dared you think that your mind held greater wisdom than the minds of your brothers? And if the councils had decreed that you should be a street sweeper, how dared you think that you could be of greater use to men than in sweeping the streets? How dared you, gutter cleaner," spoke Fraternity 93452, "to hold yourself as one alone, and with the thoughts of the one and not of the many?" "You shall be burned at the stake," said Democracy 46998. "No, they shall be lashed," said Unanimity 73304, "till there is nothing left under the lashes." "No," said Collective 00009. "We cannot decide upon this, our brothers. No such crime has ever been committed, and it is not for us to judge, nor for any small council. We shall deliver this creature to the World Council itself and let their will be done." We looked upon them and we pleaded, "Our brothers, you are right. Let the will of the council be done upon our body. We do not care. But the light, what will you do with the light?" Collective 00009 looked upon us and they smiled. "Do you think that you have found a new power?" said Collective 00009. "Do all your brothers think that?" "No," we answered. "What is not thought by all men cannot be true," said Collective 00009. "You have worked on this alone?" asked International 15537. "Many men in the homes of the scholars had strange new ideas in the past," said Solidarity 81164. "But when the majority of their brothers, scholars, voted against them, they abandoned their ideas, as all men must." "This box is useless," said Alliance 67349. "Should it be what they claim of it," said Harmony 92642, "that would bring ruin to the Department of Candles. The candle is a great boon to all mankind, as approved by all men. Therefore it cannot be destroyed by the whim of one." "This would wreck the plans of the World Council," said Unanimity 29913. "And without the plans of the World Council the sun cannot rise. It took 50 years to secure the approval of all the councils for the candle, and to decide upon the number needed, and to refit the plans so as to make candles instead of torches. This touched upon thousands and thousands of men, working in scores of states. We cannot alter the plans again so soon." And if this should lighten the toil of men, said Similarity 50306, then it is a great evil, for men have no cause to exist save in toiling for other men. Then Collective 00009 rose and pointed at our box. This thing, they said, must be destroyed. And all the brothers cried as one, it must be destroyed. Then we leapt to the table. We seized our box, we shoved them aside, and we ran to the window. We turned and we looked at them for the last time, and a rage, such as it is not fit for humans to know, choked our voice in our throat. You fools, we cried. You fools, you thrice-damned fools. We swung our fist through the window pane and we leapt out in a ringing rain of glass. We fell, but we never let the box fall from our hands. Then we ran. We ran blindly, and men and houses streaked past us in a torrent without shape. And the road seemed not to be flat before us, but as if it were leaping up to meet us, and we waited for the earth to rise and strike us in the face. But we ran. We knew not where we were going. We knew only that we must run to the end of the world, to the end of our days. Then we knew suddenly that we were lying on a soft earth, and that we had stopped. Trees taller than we had ever seen before stood over us in great silence. Then we knew. We were in the uncharted forest. We had not thought of coming here, but our legs had carried our wisdom, and our legs had brought us to the uncharted forest against our will. Our glass box lay beside us. We crawled to it, we fell upon it, our face in our arms, and we lay still. We lay thus for a long time, then we rose. We took our box and walked on into the forest. It mattered not where we went. We knew that men would not follow us, for they never entered the uncharted forest. We had nothing to fear from them. The forest disposes of its own victims. This gave us no fear either. Only we wished to be away from the city and from the air that touches upon the air of the city. So we walked on, our box in our arms, our heart empty. We are doomed. Whatever days are left to us, we shall spend them alone. And we have heard of the corruption to be found in solitude. We have torn ourselves from the truth, which is our brother men, and there is no road back for us, no redemption. We know these things, but we do not care. We care for nothing on earth. We are tired. Only the glass box in our arms is like a living heart that gives us strength. We have lied to ourselves. We have not built this box for the good of our brothers. We built it for its own sake. It is above all our brothers to us, and its truth above their truth. Why wonder about this? We have not many days to live. We are walking to the fangs waiting us somewhere among the great silent trees. There is not a thing behind us to regret. Then a blow of pain struck us, our first and our only. We thought of the golden one. We thought of the golden one whom we shall never see again. Then the pain passed. It is best. We are one of the damned. It is best if the golden one forget our name and the body which bore that name. Thanks for joining me today for part 2 of Anthem. I'll see you next time. Bye.